Well, hey fans, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Spoilers, and today we're talking spoilers for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Psych, I'm just kidding, Obi-Wan isn't done yet. I decided to throw in a curveball here, so today we're actually talking spoilers for Stranger Things 4, Volume 1. Now, Stranger Things 4, this is the first season of Stranger Things to be split into two volumes. I hear there are a couple reasons for that. One being that Netflix doesn't want to dump it all to the public at once. They want them to digest the multitude of the episodes first before witnessing the final two parts. I also heard that the effects were not complete on the final two episodes, especially since the last episode is basically like a movie in itself. It's like 2.5 hours long, and they weren't able to finish that in time. So they're going to give themselves a month of breathing room to really refine that and make sure the episode looks great. But overall, Stranger Things 4 Volume 1, I thoroughly enjoyed. I think this is the best season of Stranger Things yet. I believe I gave it a 5 out of 5 over on the website. Go ahead over there and check out my full review. And it starts out pretty much like any season of Stranger Things. Everything seems to be going okay, but of course we find out things are not what they seem. In the beginning, we have Hopper. He is still in Russia. Of course, he is a prisoner at one of those Russian prisons where they have inmates fighting demogorgons. You got Joyce, 11, and her kids. They are in California, away from Hawkins, and of course, everyone else who's left, they are still in Hawkins. Now, the thing about having them all separated, I really enjoyed, because it allows for them each to have their own adventure, kind of meet up along the way, and then of course by the finale, I do believe everybody will be back to face down the new villain, who I'll get to in a second. But let's break into some of the new characters. Argyle, who is in California, he is best friends with Jonathan. He is Jonathan's stoner buddy. Basically, all they do is get high together. And, he's like a riff on Spicoli from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. He's spaced out most of the time, and he's just very innocent and lovable. I really like him. And then you have Eddie Munson. Now, Eddie Munson, he leads a D&D club at Hawkins High, which is attended by Dustin and Lucas and Mike. And it's called the Hellfire Club, which, if you are a geek like I am, Hellfire Club is actually a pun on the... Not a pun, it's just straight up copy of the X-Men's Hellfire Club, which consisted of a bunch of secret powerful mutants. They did a version of it in X-Men First Class, but I really like him. He's kind of geeky, but he's cool. His uncle even talks about, he's off, but he's not like a bad kid, He's just kind of a little lazy, a little detached from what normal society wants him to be. Now, the season starts off. He is hanging out with this girl. I believe her name is Sherry, if I'm getting that right. Chrissy, actually. Her name is Chrissy. And they apparently knew each other when they were younger, but of course he grew up. He's a geek like Mike and them. She's a cool kid. She's a cheerleader. She's been having these nightmares lately, and she's wanting to get some drugs to take the edge off. He attempts to sell her some weed. He's like, here, you can buy this weed. It'll chill you out. She's like, I think I want something stronger. And he's like, stronger. So I think he tries to get her like some PCP or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but he tries to get her a stronger drug. But while he's getting her the drug, she gets possessed by the villain of this season, Vecna. And is the most these deaths are more graphic than the previous seasons, because in the previous seasons you got people getting like eaten by the Demogorgon or eaten by the Demodogs or turned into liquid human flesh by the Mind Flayer, but in this one, like, Vecna like grabs a hold of their souls and then breaks them from the inside, like their bones snap and twist and their jaw and their eyes pop into the inside of the head. It's just very gruesome, very reminiscent of like a kill Freddy Krueger would do in the Nightmare on Elm Street series, and I think that's exactly what they were going for, since they did hire Robert Englund to play Victor Creel, who is actually not the bad guy. You find out later. I'll get to that point. But, Billy sees her getting killed by this invisible force, freaks out, runs away. And so when the cops come, everybody thinks that Billy did this, but the Mike and the gang, who knows that Billy's a nice guy, he wouldn't do this, they try to uncover, okay, this is definitely something else going on with the Upside Down. We need to absolve him of these crimes. So they start going through it, and it turns out that Max is also having these nightmares, so she will also be on the kill list. So they have to try and save her as well. Over in California, 11 is just not having a great time. She misses Hopper. She's having trouble fitting in. Mike's so far away. And she thinks that, okay, Mike's going to come and visit. Things are going to be really good. It's okay with Will and Jonathan, but she really misses her boyfriend. He comes. There's a lot going on there, and we're not exactly sure about what's going on with Will. Now, the prevailing theory is that Will is LGBTQ. We don't know if that's asexual, homosexual, bisexual, whatever. In the beginning seasons, he's like 11 years old. Of course, they're not just going to open up and make a kid that young express his sexuality like that, especially when they want to market this to the masses. But he's in high school now. He's older, so he's in that realm where on TV they would be allowed to do that. They have a girl playing with his foot in the classroom. He pulls his foot away. Now, for me personally, considering that everybody pretty much thinks he's gay, I think they should go opposite direction and make it more like he's asexual, or he just really not into girls right now. He's too young. But if they do go ahead and he comes out and says, "Hey, I'm gay," that's what they do. I mean, it's not going to ruin the show for me or anything. I mean, he has those tendencies already. Now, I think what would ruin it for me is if he comes out and he's like, "I'm in love with Mike. I love you, Mike." It's like, no, they're friends. Will knows, at least they portray Mike. Mike doesn't go that way. Mike has a girlfriend. I mean, I'm not going to get into that. But I think that would kind of ruin their friendship, and Will knows that. Now, if there's some other boy or whatever they want to throw in there, sure. We haven't seen anything like that. We'll see where they go with that. But, so, 11's having trouble. Mike comes to visit. She has this girl who just bullies her for no reason. She makes 11 really angry, and 11 busts her face open with a skate. That was not the coolest scene, but it was a really powerful scene that shows why you should not be bullying children, because the kid you bully could snap and really hurt you or hurt other people. So don't bully people. But yeah, she smacks that skate on her face. She starts bleeding and crying. It is a very visceral scene, and you can tell 11 has something deep down that she's struggling with, that she's blocked. And we find out more about that because she gets arrested for this. Joyce, and I forgot about Joyce. Murray comes to town to hang out with Joyce after Joyce tells him she got a package from Russia. And of course they find out that Hop's still alive, so they are going to pay his ransom and get him out of this Russian prison. They're going to go meet this guy in Alaska. So they've left town. But as Elle gets arrested, the scientist guy who helps her last season, he gets her out of the custody and he takes her to this facility where he's like, "Hey, something's going on in Hawkins. We need you to get your powers back." And it turns out that Dr. Brenner is still alive. Now, this ties back to the first 8 minutes of the show that they actually released on YouTube a while back, where it shows Dr. Brenner. He's doing some tests with number, I believe it's 10 that he's working with. And 10 says, somebody's killing all the other kids. And then the door bursts open and he walks out and he sees all the kids are dead. And it's like a really young 11 who's standing there bloody and looking angry. Now, the CGI they use for young 11 is great. You can tell they got the young actress, and I can't remember her name, but they use deep fake technology to put Millie Bobby Brown's face on this younger actress, and they don't have her do much. Even when they have the scenes where 11's having flashbacks, they show her a little bit, but they pretty much cut to older 11, so they don't have her make too many facial expressions. I think they could have gotten away with it by having her be young the whole time, especially what we've seen with the younger Luke Skywalker in the Book of Boba Fett. I think the technology has evolved to the point that they can get away with it, especially for a full episode, even if they wanted to. It might take a little more time and a little more effort, but they could do it. But that looks great. So she's going through these flashbacks, and you got to jump around because this season, while fantastic, is all over the place. And I don't want to take too much time, but sticking with 11, we go to this like science lab. Dr. Brenner is still alive. So he's like, when stroke patients, when they have a stroke, there's like blood vessels that burst in the brain, and they lose function of some of their limbs during that time. But through training, they can regain the use of those limbs. When you defeated the Mind Flayer a year ago, or whatever it was, like 6 months ago, you pushed your powers to the limit and basically had a stroke. So you lost the use of your powers. But through training and like this type of regression mental thing they're doing, she can gain her powers back. So he puts it into this machine that forces her to relive her wildest memories. And it goes back to when she was at the Hawkins lab as a kid, and she has this orderly who's being very nice to her and helping her and stuff. So she's going through that. Back in Hawkins, more teens are getting killed. They're trying to free Eddie Munson, and they're getting to the bottom of this. Max, of course, gets taken by Vecna, and she manages to survive by having them play like Kate Bush music, and it breaks her out of the trance so she can escape from him. And it's not really said what he's doing. He's like killing them and collecting their souls, basically, or some energy from their bodies. And every time he kills somebody, it opens like a gate to the real world. And I guess that's so he can escape. But they don't. He says he's storing them, and you can see their bodies in the upside down. So maybe at the end they're all going to come back to life. I doubt it. I'm pretty sure they're dead because nobody comes back to life in this show. The only person who deserves to come back to life actually would be Barb and Bob and Billy. The bees. Everybody loves the bees. Nobody's name starts with the B this season. So if anybody dies, it could be anybody at this point. It could be anybody. We don't know. But yeah. So they're getting to the bottom of this mystery, and they pretty much figure out it has something to do with the Creel house, because that's where a lot of this, like Max, when she was in the Upside Down, the building she saw broken apart was the Creel house. And Nancy, when she's doing her research, she actually goes to visit Victor Creel. And who actually goes with her? It's Nancy and Robin. And they make a great pair. The pairings in this season are also great. When they visit him, he says, there's something about that house that's evil. There were dead animals appearing around. We were all having visions. Then my wife and daughter were killed. My son passed out. Luckily, I was able to save him, but they blamed all the murders on me. And so she believes him from this. She's like, well, he couldn't have killed them because he's so upset about this, and he's locked in this mental institution. And eventually, and there's also the subplot with the basketball team trying to find and kill Eddie because the captain was the boyfriend of Chrissy, and they think Eddie Munson killed her. So there's this whole thing, and there's this whole subtext about D&D being a devil's game, which actually did go on in the 80s. So I like how they added that in there. It's pretty great. It's pretty great. Like overall, the season's just fantastic. I can't say that enough. So far, we'll see how the final 2 episodes wrap things up. So they're figuring this out. They figure out that the deaths create the portals. Then they figure out that there has to be another portal. Every time somebody dies, magnetism goes all wonky. There's a portal somewhere. So they're like, so where was the last kill? It was at the lake when they were chasing Eddie Munson when he was in the boat. And so they go, and then Steve jumps in the water, and Steve is like, there's a portal under the water. So then the Upside Down pulls Steve through, and everybody jumps in after Steve. And Eddie Munson, he's the last one. He's like, I'm not being left here alone. So he also goes in. So they all end up in the Upside Down. Now, this happens in episode 7. No, this happens at the end of episode 6, actually. And boy, so Steve gets pulled to the Upside Down. Remember, he was swimming, so he doesn't have a shirt on or anything. These, I think they're called demobats. They're like flying little demogorgon type creatures. They don't really explain like how these creatures are born in the Upside Down. We do know like how the demodogs are created by the vines because they hatch from like eggs and they're little slugs and they turn into the little polywog things and then demodogs and then full grown demogorgons. We got that much at least. But where these bats come from, we have no idea. But he's there, and they're just like attacking him and scratching him, wrapping around his neck, eating at his like sides, and then it ends, and you're like, oh snap, is Steve gonna die? And of course, next episode you find out everybody else who went through the portal come and save his life. But that is where they should have ended this volume, because then everybody would pretty much be like, oh no, did Steve die? Is Steve gonna make it? We're not gonna find out until July. And it was a long enough season. I put this in my review. They could have even broken it up into 3 different volumes, because there's also a good finale where when Max is about to die and she manages to survive Vecna. But yeah, so you got that crew. They're trapped in the Upside Down. It's the oldest: Robin, Eddie, Steve, and Nancy. They're trapped in the Upside Down. The younger crew that's still in Hawkins, you got Mike, Dustin, Lucas, and Lucas's little sister, Erica. So they're all in the normal world. And in the Upside Down, the older kids figure out, oh, remember when Will was messing with the lights at Joyce's house? We can do that here. Because like electricity appears as some kind of like cosmic cloud down there, so they can influence lights in the real world. So they do that, and that's when the young kids find out they're stuck in the Upside Down, and they're gonna go figure out, okay, how do we get them out? So they leave on their bikes, and I think they're all headed toward the Creel house because that's where Vecna is in the Upside Down. In the Upside Down, he's at the Creel house in the attic. Now back to California. Eleven's going through her backstory. Actually, pause. Let me jump back over to Russia. I forgot that Joyce and Murray, they make it to Russia. Their pilot turns on them. They crash. Because Murray knows karate now. That's actually a pretty funny scene. I love Murray. He's just so funny. And they get in. They find out where Hopper is. Hopper's about to fight the Demogorgon. They manage to save him. And the last thing he gets, like not last thing, but he gets to hug Joyce. So that's where they stop at. That whole thing. And also Hopper makes friends with that prison guard who's going to help him escape. It's a great storyline. I can't really cover it all. I don't want this to go on to be 50 minutes like my Spider-Man No Way Home review. But it's great. It's great. So Eleven's going through her flashbacks. So we find out that the orderly who's been helping her this entire time, he is one. He feels that she is just as powerful, if not close to as powerful as he was. And it turns out he was developing these powers at a young age, and he just couldn't take the world as it was. So he was the one killing the animals around the house. He was the one giving his parents and sisters visions, and he was the one who killed his mom and sister. And he was about to kill his dad too, but he overloaded his powers and passed out. So that's exactly what was going on there. And when everything was blamed on his dad, Dr. Brenner took him and started doing experiments on him to test the limits of his powers. And when they found out like how uncontrollable he was, they put like a little chip in him or something that inhibits his powers. So he can't use his powers, and he can't run away because it can also track him. So they made him pretty much, he's an orderly there, and what he is supposed to do is, just watch over the kids and they'll let him live, basically. But of course he starts, telling the half-truths to 11 to get her on his side, and he's going to help her escape. And she says, I want you to come with me. He says, I can't escape. He's like, there's this chip in me. So he gets her to pull out his chip, which frees him to use his powers. And he's the one who went around killing all the kids. And he told 11 to hide while he was doing this. And it's a funny thing, during this time where we see all the other kids, so we don't get to see 8, because before this happened is when 8 escaped. So I would have loved to have seen 8 this season. I hope she at least comes back for season 5. But so they have pretty much every kid there except for 8. So I don't remember if 8 escaped or if they just let her go, what happened with her. Because her powers are more illusion based while everybody else there has telekinesis. We haven't seen any other powers besides that. I would like to see kids with more differing superpowers. Because, so far as only illusion based, which is 8, telekinesis, which is everybody else. I need something different. But he kills them all, and he tries to get 11 to join him. And she's like, no, this is wrong. Like, we shouldn't have killed these. Like, they were bullies, but yeah, we shouldn't have killed them. So they have a fight. And it's the information he gave 11 to make her stronger about remembering something that makes you happy and sad at the same time, kind of like Inside Out or whatever. She does that. She remembers, once she remembers where her mom came and was taken away from her when she was playing with 8, but then she remembers like her birth, and when her mom says "I love you," like that's deep that she can remember her own birth. I mean, at this time she's probably like 5 years old, so, and she has psychic powers, so I don't see why she wouldn't be able to do that. So that makes her strong enough to pretty much pin one to the wall, and she disintegrates him like she did the Demogorgon in season 1. But it turns out when she does the disintegration, it's not actually disintegration. That's opening up a portal to the inside, upside down, and she's sent him to the upside down. And when he was going through the upside down, he was struck by lightning, and that's how he was morphed into the demon monster that we now know as Vecna. So the season ends with you seeing the 001 tattoo on his wrist, confirming that Vecna is Victor Creel's son. So it is a great season. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Can't wait to see how Volume 2 wraps this season up, and hopefully they give us some input on like when Season 5 is coming out, because that is going to be the final season. But that is it for me, guys. Remember, you can view this spoiler review on YouTube and the blog flipfrogllc.com/flixfrog. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Reddit. And please, pretty please, everybody, hey, come here, listen. Make sure that you subscribe. Yes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, everything. Make sure you like, comment, and share. The next Let's Talk Spoilers, I guess it'll be Obi-Wan. Like, I'm sorry this one wasn't Obi-Wan, but I was given the advanced screeners of Stranger Things 4, and I said, let me just throw this in here, and Obi-Wan is going through like June, so I don't think I have anything else coming up. So yes, Obi-Wan will be next, and until next time, I'll be seeing you.